To America! Welcome to the Tong, where our loyalty lies only with warrior, and they will scrap only if I give them the order. And you feeling itchy, you got something to say? Just know we hop this way. Nobody else is suited for this other than us. I know it's crazy, but we work with it and don't give up. Welcome to the show. If you don't know the name, we call it Hop This Way.
Welcome back, all my fellow itchy onions out there. It is another edition of the Hop This Way show featuring your Tong of Tongs. Myself, Zeus. Of course, we've got the lovely Rebecca Nishi to my left here. How's it going, Rebecca?
Fine. It's sunny around here.
Yeah, I bet. Living it up in Brazil. Then we got
a man thing or just a...
What just happened? What's going on with Matt over there? Did Matt just freeze, or is he doing that on purpose?
I'm not sure. She's doing it on purpose.
I love it. But next up is the master, Frank. Dog, how you doing? Man, did I freeze? Was that why you did that?
No.
No, okay. You're messing
I think
with
it's because we always talk about weather.
You did pretty good. I didn't notice it until your eyebrow flickered for a second. I was like, oh, no.
Yeah.
Nice. How you doing, Frank?
I'm doing pretty good. This is pretty stoked about this one because this one is the build up to the one. So.
Yes. And this one feels like the one too, even though it's the precursor to it. But this is an intense episode. And speaking of intense, there's nobody more intense than the Asian hip hop hippie herself, Stephanie Young Pride. How you doing, Steph?
What's up, people? Yeah, no, this is an action. Well, this is a content-packed episode for sure. There's so much to talk about.
There's so much that goes on here, and it messes with all of our emotions all at once. And I like these heavy, kind of story-driven episodes quite a bit.
Triggered much.
Right. My buddy Matt Chua, Money Matt, what's going on, brother? Chua America, how you doing, brother?
Hi, hello.
Hi,
I'm not caffeinated enough, but I'm sure as we get throughout this episode and go on, I'll get more hype, and then I'll get to my usual self. But right now, it's calm.
Love it. Well, welcome back, everybody. We are back with you today, and we have got a big episode. We talked about it. This is a precursor to the big episode of season 2 and maybe of this entire series. But this episode, all enemies, foreign and domestic, well named because enemies are everywhere in this episode. But folks, let's remember where we left off at the end of last episode. We had the two sisters, Penelope Blake and her sister Sophie Mercer, both trying to take on Mayor Blake, who's in a drunken stupor and has become abusive to both women. He's choking Penelope out, and then someone hits him over the back of the head with a hot poker and poking some gray matter, if you will. We find out that it's Jacob, and that's how that episode ends. And we kind of come back from there with this episode. We don't start off right there. We start off kind of on a more humorous note. And something that's near and dear to me, you guys know how much I honestly love this scene. And that, of course, is the Funghai Massacre, when they start talking about the violin man. And we don't even realize that there's a massacre. We just see Assam, Young Jun, and Hong talking. And
eating again. And eating.
And then talking about the violin man. And they're like, well, what's the deal with the violin man? How did we even get onto this topic, right? And
you ask him why he fights with a string. Oh yeah.
It's symbolism. He has his thing, I have mine. And then they get the great line. Can you play Mozart with it?
I love that you have this screenshot where Chen's still like
He's still eating.
midway through. He's still
Always full mouth.
And then they
Oh.
give the Young Jun gives the line, "Hey, go see if anyone's still breathing, and if they are, tell them that they work for us now."
I don't think
If you go back to the
anybody.
screenshot,
I don't think anybody left is still breathing.
There's a
Mhm.
That works too.
there's a hand there of a guy just hanging from the hammock or from the upper floor. I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Oh yeah, I never even noticed that. The finger is right above Assam's head.
Okay, so if they killed off all of these guys, what's going to happen when Zing gets out? I'm just saying.
Zing's gonna start back up. That's what he's gonna do. You saw how much contempt.
People are dead. These
mean
people are all
anything.
dead. I know.
It's
He'll
fucking
get some
Zing.
new recruits.
Like a Hydra. Cut one head off, two more come back. The actual
He's a
Hydra,
maniac.
I don't know about the MCU.
Yeah, he's insane. So what are you guys thinking in this opening scene here, and just seeing this whole massacre that's happened here?
Best
Well, first
opening
of all,
ever.
Yeah, because just they keep panning out and
Right.
watching, the two of them give him shit. It's just adorable. He's now really, he's part of the team. They're totally ragging on him. They're totally fucking with him. And he's just, and it's that like brotherly love where he's like, you guys stop messing with me. And you gradually pan out to these bodies.
So
Well,
Slaughter.
that scene reminds me of the scene of season 1 when Bolo scrapped everyone in the same Funghai place, and then all covered in blood, like drinking whiskey.
yeah, I think you got him. Great scene. Shout out to Rich Ting, of course, our buddy, the Yellow Demon. I can't say it good like Matt does though.
The Yellow Demon.
Oh my god, coffee?
Dude, get some caffeine into you.
You need
Get some
What do
caffeine
you
into
want
you.
from me? What do you want from me? I say it the same all the fucking time. What more do you want? It's the same shit. You can't go any different with. The
I
Yellow
want the
Demon.
full
You can't-
Yellow Demon.
That was the full Yellow Demon. What do you want? I fucking dropped my fucking voice bassier than it already has to be.
You know
Now,
what?
wait, God damn it. Let's go. What are we doing here? Piss
That's
me
all we
off
were
now.
looking for. That's all we were
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
for,
yeah.
just to get you going.
That was the caffeination.
Let's go. What are we talking about?
The show Warrior. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No shit. Oh, you think you got jokes today?
They finished up the second
I'm not funny
season.
right
We're doing it.
the hot this way show.
So, anyways, after this,
What's that?
we go to break. We go to the open titles, and then we come back. And I believe when we come back, we're with the Tongs, right? Is that
Yeah.
with?
We gotta have the Buckley flashback. That was I skipped
yeah.
through that one this time on the review. I don't really. That scene was incredibly gruesome. I forgot how gruesome that scene was.
Mhm,
What was that? The
mhm.
flashback with Buckley,
Flashback to the
Oh,
getting-
right? Where he has to have his leg amputated,
Yeah.
and we actually
Mainly now zero my attention in on that scene where the blood splashes into that redheaded nurse's hair.
exactly.
Yeah.
The redhead.
That was the scene.
The redhead.
I just remembered the interview he gave to us when on the scene that he explained why he washes the hair of the redheads
Yeah, seared into his memory. He said.
Yeah.
to clean the
yeah.
blood.
Which I mean, there was a
Kind of
lot
tender.
of blood, and I had the picture here, and I don't have it anymore. I'm sorry, guys.
Langley, you're acting in that scene. Crazy.
Listen, just the intensity, and we see it even in the photo here, where he's like, "Don't take my leg, don't take it." We see him go through that full gambit of emotions, and you almost feel for him as well at that point.
Mhm.
The redhead comes, and she's just got that hacksaw sharpened up, and he's being held down by two people, and she hands off that hacksaw and basically gives him the wood to stick between his teeth to bite down on him.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a gruesome scene.
And then they
That's
show
why I
the
don't
leg
watch
with the
Tong.
maggots, so they tried to go ahead and get rid of the infection.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I had that
too
picture
far
too,
gone.
but it was too much.
Ooh, no.
It was too much.
And doing a
too much.
flashback of our interview with Langley, he said that, he plays characters where despite how, villainous they truly are, like he wants to always showcase some type of like human side to them as fucked
Yeah.
Right.
as they are. And this was the origin story. And what kind of humanizes is like, damn, that's why he's so fucked up. Okay. Like it all just comes like kind of full circle. And then with the interview that we deal with, shout outs to Langley, man. He
Yeah, man.
really gave like a lot of different colors to this. To now watch it back, it's like, woo.
Seriously. And
Yes.
just his accent. I mean, not everybody, does such a good job of an accent. And just his tone of voice is different. So it isn't just perfecting the accent, it's all of the inflection. It's not even recognizable to his regular speaking voice.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal actor, and we've seen now that we've interviewed him, and we've gotten to take a look at him in other projects as well, and you see that he can go from one accent to another. Even he played David in one of the books, one of the movies based on the Bible, right?
I saw that
King
post
David,
that
yeah.
he did. Yeah.
Yeah,
He
and
is
then
a
of course on
chameleon.
Banshee. Say again.
He is a chameleon in terms of acting. He really is.
He is, and we're quite lucky to have him on the show. And if you're watching, shout out Langley.
Wait, so Rebecca, you
up,
did
Langley?
watch Banshee, right?
Yeah, man, he was great on Banshee. I didn't even realize that was him until
Me
you guys
neither.
told me earlier this year, and I was like, "What?" Like before we had him on the show. So we go from there to the mayor at the former mayor's abode, and they're talking to, of course, both sisters, and they're trying to figure out who killed the mayor. And Penelope is not giving up Jacob at all. She doesn't want to say his name at all. You see the choke marks on her throat, but Sophie does.
Oh
Sophie
my god, I
things.
hate her again.
Sophie,
She had
Sophie just
one
goes on being
quality,
Sophie.
and then she threw him under the
Sophie
bus.
Sophie.
Yeah.
And meanwhile,
Damn.
Penny's looking at her like saying things without speaking, like, don't do it. Don't
Yeah.
do it.
Read the
What are you
room.
doing?
Read the room. And she doesn't read the room, or she doesn't care. She ups Jacob, and that at that point we're like, uh-oh, now it's on.
Yeah. I
And
guess she doesn't have the same relationship that Penny has with Jacob. Not same.
But also she's naive, She's thinking she's defending her sister. She doesn't want her sister to be blamed, but she doesn't realize the bigger implications.
oh, exactly.
So the police are raiding Chinatown because of Sophie. This is essentially.
I was always going to shoot Sophie some bail. And then it was like, nah, because she ousted him. Then she ran to Leary and ousted Jacob again. So it's just like,
Yes.
I can't play the naive card with her, because if it would be one thing if it was just like, oh, okay, I'm telling the police because, I don't want my sister to get in trouble. I can't understand that. But then.
But she's a shit starter.
Yeah.
She's literally the worst. She's literally the worst.
Look at Joanna. Look at the eyes.
Oh,
Yeah.
she looked like she about to murder her sister. She's like,
Well,
Also looking at that
Woman.
scene again, it didn't feel like the police were really gonna take Penny in for possible indictment. It seemed like they were pretty clear on the fact that she was defending herself. I guess if you want to be as sympathetic as possible to Sophie's character, you could say, okay, maybe she wasn't thinking right because she just went through a trauma. But
yeah.
so close. She was so close. And then nope. As the episode continues, nope.
yeah,
She goes on doing Sophie things.
almost wanted to give her a redeeming quality, but
That was
that way.
sadly not happening. And then we
Sophie
see-
single-handedly it makes episodes 8, 9, and 10.
right.
it does actually.
It was all her fault.
Yeah, so I guess in that sense for the show.
But like Penny is even looking at her with this horrified look on her face, like, you just signed his death warrant.
Yeah.
She was horrified, like, no. Yeah. Sophie.
Yeah.
So we transition from there to downtown Chinatown, and we see Assam and young June talking about, just taking out the Funghai and, all proud of themselves. But up in the window, we see Mai Ling and Zing spying. And Mai Ling, you know, throwing shade as she does. And,
Not Zing, Lee Young.
Liang, sorry, thank you.
She's so beautiful.
With Liang. And she's throwing shade at Liang as well, you know, saying, you know, you don't see the bigger picture. And,
Dumbass.
you know, this is a psalm sending a message to me specifically, right? Like she's taking this personal now, especially since, you know, a few episodes ago, Assam basically slaps her hand away and says, fuck you, I don't want nothing to do with you. When she kind of tried to come back and make reprimands from ordering him to be killed.
Leong is low-key over Mai Ling's shit.
Mhm.
You think so?
It's his facial expression, his like the way he's looking at her. It's like, yes, I'm listening to you, but.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think this season we start seeing the cracks in the loyalty, but I think he's still loyal to her.
Yeah,
but he's no
it's just
dummy. He's no
as-
dummy.
He doesn't trust her leadership anymore.
Right.
It's not as what's the word that I'm looking for? Whatever. I can't think off the top of my head. Unconditional. There you go. It's not as unconditional as
I think
it was.
maybe he is just studying her. Like he didn't know how far she could go before Monzi was dead. He didn't know what she was capable, and he's too close to the tiger, so he doesn't want to see
Yeah.
secret.
Very good way of putting it.
Yeah, I think he's like being just, you know.
Maybe.
Watchful, careful.
Yeah, we don't really know about his backstory, right? For all we know, he could have been Long Zi's nephew or something.
Yeah, we
Right.
really don't know what the tie is there, do we?
No. We don't
That's
know
why
what
I say the way
there.
he looks at her, it's like, I'm listening to you, I'm acknowledging you, but I don't know if I'm on the same page as you.
Right. I'm interested because I don't want to give away for people who haven't, you know, finished the season either. So I don't want to give too much away either. But man, I really want to know what's going to happen with that relationship moving forward. And we're
I'm
going to
sure
get
we're
into
gonna
that over the
find
next
out.
2 episodes. And then on the final episode, everybody can just go ape shit with all our predictions and all our little conspiracies on where we think things are going.
It is good to know that choking moment didn't change his mind too much.
I think they should have reinforced them more.
Oh, yeah. But, hey,
He's like,
It's like,
yep.
I'm going to say what I had to say to make it through the situation.
right.
Literally.
There's a David Carradine joke here I'm not going to make.
I'm not doing this with you. No.
No, what?
David
What?
Carradine. Do it.
I'll just say
I didn't even have to. I had to say that, and that was good enough.
I'll just say that's somewhat related. When that documentary that came out a couple years ago about Bruce Lee with White Water, the 30 for 30, they interviewed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, right, one of the NBA goats, and who also trained with Bruce Lee. And he talked about Bruce Lee losing the role of Kung Fu to David Carradine, and he said, yeah, originally they were going to cast Bruce in it, but then they gave the role to, I'm paraphrasing, Abdul-Jabbar, but he's like, yeah, but then they gave the role to, I forgot it.
David Carradine.
No, that's what Abdul-Jabbar said. He's like,
He did?
Oh, I thought you were.
I forgot about that.
That's too funny. Yeah, wow. And that's you know, and I always mix that up. I used to always think that Kung Fu: The Legend Continues was what Warrior was supposed to be. I thought that Bruce Lee submitted his script and they took it and turned it into
there was
Kung Fu, but
no, there was an interview he does on NPR with Pierre Burton where he mentions the Warrior, and they were discussing the challenges with having a non-white lead in Hollywood at that time, and he said, yeah, that's why the Warrior is probably not going to be made. I remember that. I remember him saying that very clearly. Because I remember even early. I first saw that interview when I was 19 or something, and And I remember hearing that. I was like, oh man, I wonder what. I remember thinking, oh man, what would that have been like if Bruce Lee had written his own show and started it in the late 1960s before going back to Hong Kong? What could have been? So it's interesting to think back on what I was thinking during that time when I first heard that Pierre Burton interview. Pierre Burton interview 1972, I think, when Burton traveled to Hong Kong. Because by then Bruce was already a big star in Hong Kong. He was the man in Hong Kong.
That's an awesome story. I need to find that, and I haven't watched that documentary yet.
Oh yeah, it's an old NPR interview, so it's funny because Pierre Burton is much older than Bruce Lee, and Bruce Lee is doing his own Bruce Lee thing. He's pantomiming all of his movements, and Pierre Burton says like, I don't know if I want to take it with you.
Yeah, no doubt.
Quite powerful. Yes, you are quite a strong puncher. Yes,
that's awesome.
So nothing like that, but go listen to the interview.
I will definitely go listen to the interview. And NPR, well, we won't give out cheap plugs, but NPR is the way to go. Just saying. So we move on from Mai Ling to next Baby June and Father June. All right, young June, going to check in on Pops and celebrate a bit. Be like, yo, man, we just did what you couldn't do. Like, we took out the Funghai.
Trying not to be a baby anymore. Trying to grow up.
Right. And even after losing his position, Father June is still Father June. Like, he's still like, yeah, but at what cost? How many of your own men did you lose? How many of your brothers did you lose doing this? And could there have been another way to go about all this? You're supposed to be just as smart, but you're too impatient. And he does the father thing, but also he's still the leader of that Tong. Like, at least that's what it seems. The way that Jason's playing it, young June seems to be really playing it. Like, he's looking up to him like, shit, yeah, you're right, but he doesn't want to say it.
Still wants his dad's approval.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say that he went there to get approval, to say, look, Dad, I did something. I did like a good thing. And no.
Yeah. Perry's like, nah, we ain't having that. We're not having that at all.
Maybe you need to learn this the hard way.
But essentially, it was exactly why, young June kept Father June around in the first place, was for guidance and knowledge and things like that. So, I mean, yeah, he did his own thing, but at the same time, like, he was like, yeah, no, maybe. And then, he got the knowledge that he needed. It's just like, yeah, you did it. That's great and all, but, there is going to be a price, and I'm sure it's going to come and bite you in the ass a lot sooner than you think. So you might want to be a little mindful of that.
So he's still Fredo, not Michael Corleone yet.
Still Vito.
The way he just
you
like
broke
sits
my heart,
back,
Fredo.
he has his shot, sits back all regal. He's still the head of the Tong in that moment. He's Father June.
Yes, of course.
So composed, not even fazed by shit.
No, nothing phases him, right? Like,
Look how many
people
buttons
say
are on that
certain
vest.
people have no chill. He has all chill. And would you say that?
Can we go back to that picture again? Sorry, for the podcast listeners, this isn't going to make sense. Look how many buttons are on that vest. Holy shit.
Right? Oh.
What is that?
And we'll have to
That
give a
is-
shout out to him next time. But I met a guy on a shoot this week who designed suits, and he said he could make that suit for us.
Oh, wait a minute. What?
Yeah.
Wait, what's the
Yeah,
one that Perry's wearing right now with like the 18 million buttons? Oh, you mean
These.
that one?
Those.
The stretchy pants.
Zeus, don't fuck with me. Don't you fuck
Yes,
with me.
please. What? Hi.
Stretchy.
Yes, please.
So I got to find him. He added me on Instagram. I'm no good with Instagram, though. But, yeah, he's got his own clothing company. He's a model himself, though, too. I don't say too like I'm a model. I mean, like, he does that as well as making his other stuff.
And I just had the crossover thought. Did anybody see some teaser post or poster that they were working on. They may be working on Kung Fu Hustle 2.
Wait, what?
I saw someone post something that there was a Kung Fu Hustle 2 in the works.
Oh yes.
And all I could think of just now was, wait, that outfit would do double duty.
I'm down. Let me at that.
Give me some hatchets. Give me some hatchets.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Oh,
no
so
weaponry
style.
for you.
So here it is, styled by Harj.
Ooh.
So Harja Singh, entrepreneur, fashion enthusiast, custom suit specialist out of Toronto. And I mean, if you go on to Instagram and follow him, it's style by Harj. I'll put
I'm
it
pretty
here
sure
in the banner for you guys.
your DMs are going to be flooded with the amount of people that are currently watching and or listening and are going to want a fucking Hopway suit. So I'm sorry in advance, or congrats. I don't know. Depends on how busy you become.
Yeah,
I don't
right.
know.
Following.
I have no idea.
So there you go. I'm putting it up there for you, folks. So IG, if you want to find it, yeah, man, go check this guy out. Check out his fashion. He is a fashion guru, if you will, and I'm down. Let's get our Hopway stuff going.
Let's
It's
do
going to
it.
cost. We're going to have to start Patreon just for us to be able to afford our new uniforms. Yeah, I called them uniforms. But now, let's get back to the show. After these messages, we'll be right back. All right. So we left off talking about, Father June putting Baby June in his place.
Baby June.
I'm sorry, but he'll always be Baby June to me. But we saw that Buckley is sending the cops out and not taking any trash at all. But before they head out, we see Lee and Bill having some words in the police station.
Mm-hmm.
And this didn't go too well, folks. Anyone?
I just like how Lee is slowly unhinged throughout this entire season.
Dude,
I love it. I love how they drag it very, very eloquently, like per episode. Like it's not a lot, it's just little breadcrumbs here and there. And then towards it, you see like, oh, his shirt's not completely done. Oh, fuck his jacket now. Now he's just being pretty reckless with his words, and now he's just ignoring everybody. Like it's so gradual. I love it. So then when this happens, well,
Yeah.
See, you say unhinged, and as that's happening, you can also see how in quite a few scenes they flash to his eyes, like his expression. He, even though he's unhinged, he's catching everything. He's not missing details.
Yeah.
He's like, There's that little that serious stare. He's absorbing. He's watching what's going on.
But I think Matt's onto something though too. He is definitely becoming unhinged or starting to lose it a bit. And it's a slow descent. We see it with the drugs. We've seen it with the prostitutes. Him almost getting killed, because of that stuff.
He's becoming very messy.
Yeah, he doesn't shave. He doesn't do his hair. He's a mess. And he calls Bill out in front of the entire station though, and basically says, "You were working for the Funghai, and this was your way of getting back at them." Zing was an innocent man, basically. And then the two of them start bickering, and Bill goes low, man. Yeah. Bill goes stupid low, and saying, well, you got your family killed.
Yeah,
basically, I'm paraphrasing that, but
what is your ethical?
Where you know the line, killing your own kin fall on that line. Something.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that just sends Tom off, or Lee, sorry. And the two of them have to be separated. And I didn't think we were going to see Lee join up with the cops later on.
Right, and he still had that look on his face.
He does. Like when it's all said and done, he wants to be an honorable man of the law. So despite him saying, hey, Bill, you can go fuck yourself, I'm still going to do my job. I just don't have to enjoy doing it with you. So
Buttercup says hi, by the way.
Buttercup.
So cute. Well, it kind of makes you wonder if he's really unhinged or if he's just so filled with cynicism now that he just doesn't care about the people whose opinions he would have cared about 10 episodes ago.
Yeah,
I guess unhinged wasn't the proper word. Yeah. I feel like he's just over everybody's shit.
Yeah,
at this point,
he realizes that he doesn't need to. Well, in his head, he doesn't need to listen to those people, or at least he doesn't need to listen to every word, the word of what they say. Just more of following the spirit of what he originally wanted to do, be a policeman and do the protective servitude.
There's that little politeness filter that's now gone.
Yeah, he's no longer the Southern gentleman as what is
politeness, no smile, nothing.
Well, we see. We talked earlier about how like they named this episode so well. You know, all enemies, foreign and domestic, because we get to see all the different kind of factions do different, like get into different aggressive moments or have some kind of big moment in this episode, whether it be the cops, whether it be the Hopway, you know, even Mai Ling. But we see with the Irish as well. Leary gets stopped heading to the Banshee by one of the locals, and he's just like, I'm sick of it. I get it, Bill. You're just nothing but more. He basically calls Leary a politician, saying, you just keep giving us empty promises, because right now I appreciate what you're doing, but all you're doing right now is just giving us empty words. And that gets Leary going, and Leary starts speaking off to the crowd until he sees, of course, in the crowd, Sophie.
Yeah, well, it's funny because he claims to not be a politician, but then the very next scene he gives a politician speech. You know,
right?
It was in the moment, but he still did it. He did it in front of a small crowd.
But we saw that last episode as well with Buckley, and Buckley said it perfectly, where he called Leary a politician, and Leary's like, I'm no politician. And he's like, that's what all the good ones say.
Yes.
Right? So he is a natural politician, whether he wants to be or not. He's become that leader of that community, of the Irish community. So it's been thrust upon him, if you will.
Yeah. Well, politics, I guess, if you wanted to find the more strict, the purest terms, is just the art of influencing people, right?
Right.
And Leary he's had influence from the beginning. Everyone calls him all the Irish people call him Mr. Leary. He's the de facto head of the Irish community. So
and he has argument. He's intelligent. He can beat anyone on a debate. He tells them that was my boots on his neck, to make anything happen. And the mayor gave a speech saying that he's going to send the Chinese back. So that's because of me. I make the pressure. If you want to do better, be my guest.
Oh, that part, yeah.
And you, speaking of the mayor, we saw earlier with Buckley standing over top of the mayor as they're talking about what they're going to do now, and he asks the chief, "Well, what's the next step?" And the chief looks at him and goes, "Well, you tell me. You're the mayor now." And he's like, "Oh, I guess I am." The one thing that he had never really thought about, because he'd always been manipulating from behind the scenes. Yeah. And this is something that benefits him, but he never tried to get this. This is something.
And he even made a comment. Sorry, he made a comment to Leary that, when Leary was saying something about, Blake's promises, blah, blah, blah in the past. And, Buckley says, I put those words in his mouth. Well, he pretty much said, look, I'm the one who wrote exactly what Blake, promised. So, hey. So, Buckley, you hate to love him. You hate to love him, but not to jump ahead, but someone else mentioned it and then it got stuck in my head. Yes, he's the MVP of this episode. Okay, because he's got the underground quid pro quo with Mai Ling. Okay, then he's pretty much molding Leary to become, that head of the union and getting him involved. And what other things is he messing with? I mean, he has the chief of police, already in his pocket, and he's sending the police out. So basically he's got every little faction in this episode. He's got his hands in every little bit in this episode.
Yeah.
Underground, up on the street, in the office.
Makes me wonder who else, because as is revealed later, right, there's some other connections he's got. So yeah, who else? It really does make you wonder. It's clear that he doesn't see borders, so to speak. Right? In a certain way, he doesn't see borders. In certain ways, he absolutely does. But for his own pragmatic gains, he'll do anything and operate in any way, operate with any.
Do you guys feel like this is a snag in his plan, becoming the mayor? Since he's so in the shadows at all times, and now unfortunately he's kind of in the spotlight because he's the new mayor. Do you think that this kind of slowly fucks him?
But see, notice how he had the chief send out the police and not make the announcement. So he had them start to round up the Chinaman without announcing that the mayor was killed. So in a way, he's still keeping that under wraps, because even when it's mentioned to Assam didn't know that the mayor was dead. So Buckley's keeping that low key until he can send out the enforcers and, do some damage.
True, but he was also so he does his, obviously he does his behind the scenes play like he always does. But I mean, like when he's sworn in, he's like, yeah, I got to take the duties. Da 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 da. There's that official, whatever they call it, and it's like, he's now at the forefront of it. It kind of, like he has to kind of be even more careful with a lot of his shadow playing, because, it's not like before where you had Blake, who was all the way up here, and then here's Buckley just chilling here. So it's like, shit really goes awry or whatever. You don't really suspect nothing, because it's like, oh, it's just this guy. Now, like Buckley is the guy for
I
that
agree.
town.
He's a little bit stressed. I felt him a little bit stressed and nervous, not like calm as he usually speaks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think kind of like what Matt's saying. It reminds me of an old Superman comic. I think it was Superman or a cartoon. Way before Lex Luthor actually ran and becomes president, someone had asked him if he would run for president. And he's like, why would I give up all the power I have to be someone so powerless like the president of the United States? Right?
Yeah.
I might be wrong on
Stay in the shadows.
But yeah, there's our new mayor. And like you said, he put the cops out right away. He saw this caricature and just lost his mind, and he means business now. Like he wants to eliminate the Chinese presence in San Francisco altogether. Like,
and back to the historian part, Frank. That illustration was just like the Dennis. Wasn't there? There was the illustration of Dennis Kearney.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
It's almost like it looks a lot like that one.
Yeah. The man who ended all of his speeches with the Chinese must go. So, and I mean there were a few incidents where there were murders of white folks involving Chinese folks, right? And that actually led to one of the largest mass lynchings in the U.S. history in 1871. I think that was in L.A. It was either in LA or San Francisco. I can't remember the details, but they made a movie out of it. They made a movie called The Jade Pendant out of it. It starred Godfrey Gao and couple. Oh, I think his mom was in it too.
Hmm.
Yeah, Godfrey Gao was in it. Rest in peace. But that was one of his bigger movies.
Oh, I didn't know that one.
Yeah, it wasn't a big release, but I do remember seeing that story, and that was the first time
I'll have to watch that.
incident happened. Yeah, 19 Chinese men, women, and children were lynched in one incident. Among whom was a well-respected doctor, because someone accidentally shot a white man. There was a disturbance. I don't remember the details, but there was a violent encounter inside, I think, a saloon or inside a tavern, and he ended up being shot to death. And they suspected a Chinese killer, and I think a Chinese person did do it, but I think it was also in the middle of an encounter, and they ended up rioting and lynching those 19 people. 8 of them, I think several of the rioters were convicted, but those convictions later got overturned on appeal, so no one got penalized for that.
Damn.
Frank facts all day, dropped
Right?
all throughout this episode.
Never mind the master. We're just going to call him the professor. We didn't talk too much about Chow, and Chow had a big episode here as well.
Yeah.
You know,
Do I have to
his
make your
episode
job for
ends
you?
a lot bigger than the rest of it, but he still had a pretty decent episode talking with Bill. He does get stopped in the streets once, and Bill apologizes to him. He comes to his rescue right here, and then apologizes for having them shut down. He's like, "Oh, I really am sorry about that," and it actually seemed genuine. But Chow's like, "Yeah, but that's nice to apologize until it happens the next time."
Yeah.
And we all know that's what Bill would be. Like, if the opportunity comes again and he has to screw over Chow, he's going to screw over Chow.
Yeah.
He'll strong
And
arm him.
he asked for the Jacob's head, and Chow says, "I already gave you Zing. I already gave you the swordman. Do I have to make your job for you? You want to give me a badge?"
Right? Which was a great line.
There was just burning bridges of trust everywhere. Like that scene where you have a Lee before Lee went off on it and threw him on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Where does killing your kin fall on the line? That was actually, I think that was like the last shred of trust between them, because Lee didn't want to tell people that. And he swore he made Bill promise not to tell anyone that, I believe, for the season. So I was like, hey man, you can't even keep that secret and you use it as a dirty line.
Yeah.
So
Fuck you then.
yeah. I'm gonna throw you on the ground.
So yeah, we had our stuff with Chow as well, but then we come to a toy.
Yeah.
And as the lockdown's going on,
In the episode.
we get, I looked these guys up, and their name, the character's name is Cleaver. That's Cleaver.
Terrifying.
That's Brad Kelly playing Cleaver, and I don't know the other gentleman because they don't have him listed, but they do have the big dude, and he's just listed as Cleaver for good reason, as you can see. Well, you can't see there, but he does have a cleaver in his hand a little later.
When you see dudes
Meeting
that
Cleaver.
tall, that barrel chested, and without necks, it's not a good thing.
Well, exactly. And they come in, and Nellie Davenport's there trying to get a toy to leave with her. But as soon as the cops come in, a toy's tells Nellie to leave. She refuses, gets knocked down by the cops, and then the cops proceed to go after a toy. And a toy, yeah, the cops.
Yeah.
Cops.
Fake cops. And a toy gets an ass whooping here. I thought we were going to lose a toy. I'm not lying.
Me too. I was so
Mhm.
scared.
Especially this part.
Oh,
Yeah, I didn't know how she would, get out of this situation.
And if you saw right before he hits, though, he does make contact here, but she's up a step higher, and she just lowers herself down one step before the chop, and that's why it takes mostly the step, and then he works his way down, and Yeah, it's a nasty, nasty cut. Davenport gets up, tries to offer some help. Not a whole lot of help, but it's enough to give a toy some time away. She takes a knife that she had thrown, a throwing dagger, one of the ones that she has in her hair. She had thrown it at Cleaver, takes that out of him, and proceeds to put it through the other cop's ear. And then,
Fake cop.
Fake cop. And then she runs upstairs away from Cleaver. And Cleaver follows just to see this. And when you see this with a toy,
It's a wrap.
yeah, that's it, man. That's it. It's a wrap, like you said. Such a good scene, too. It was filmed so well. Just how the sword drops and then she tilts it, and you get that glimmer, that perfect Rembrandt light, if you will. So yeah, I love it.
Shout out to Olivia Chung too for being able to really add those layers to that action scene.
And I'm going to say it again. Every time I see her with swords, I'm going to say she should be playing Lady Shiva in the DC Extended Universe. Like the one that basically taught Batman how to fight, and Jason Todd, I think. She trained Jason. She trained one of them. But like we said, a toy did take a bit of a beating.
Yeah. I do like how I think in an interview Olivia was saying like it was nice to kind of showcase how vulnerable that a toy was without her, trademark sword, and like how she kind of, it was like, I forgot how she described it, like a primal fighting, thing, where she was just like using anything and everything just to survive. And then it was just like nothing but just whatever raw power she practically had and her wits. And then once she got her hands on her sword, it was game to fuck over.
Yeah. Choppity chop.
Chills. I get chills.
So then we move on from there, and a toy's not done. A toy goes to meet her partner, and she has a deal to make here.
This is probably my favorite scene ever.
This is a pretty powerful scene. A toy bloody as hell. This guy pretending that he cares about her. He really just cares about not getting dead. And let's be honest, that was a good chance here. And a toy's like, just sign the papers. Sign the papers.
You sign.
And he's like, oh, are you okay? Or you don't think I had something? Sign or die. And he's like, are those, what killed me? When you first see the scene, when the scene plays out, you don't see who he's talking about. He's like, are those the men that did this to you? And you're like, what men is she talking? Who is he talking about?
Oh,
and there they are, chilling.
And that's how that scene ends up. Is after he signs it, they pan off to these two. That's Cleaver and his buddy.
But do you remember why he's the Cleaver, right?
Because he had a cleaver in his hand.
When he went for confession in the church and talked to the father had a missing finger, and he actually indicate those two guys for him for the toy's partner, and they are in the kitchen, like lots of meat around.
Yeah, they're butchers.
Like poaching, So he hired them through the priest.
Yeah, the priest needs to get it too.
Yes, let's see this priest on season 3.
That priest backstory. I wonder what he's been in his previous lives.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's been up to some not so good things, honestly. So yeah, I'm trying to find the right photo here for us to almost go out on, but and I want to say it's not this one. It's not Chow here, but it is Chow. Chow coming back to his house, or his base of operations, if you will. And seeing the door open, he's like, "Uh-oh, somebody's in here." peeks in, pops out the old sleeve gun, and looks around and sees a figure hidden in the shadows. And he's like, "Who is that?" And it's our boy Kenneth. "Jacob, if you will,
Oh,
help me." And that is how this episode ends. That for that reason, Rebecca, we talked earlier, and you're like, I think Zeus is going to pick Jacob. I couldn't. Jacob's in this for 2 seconds. You know, he was my hero of the last episode.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But speaking of which, who's everybody got for their for your warrior of the episode? I'm going to start with you, Rebecca. You're in the middle there.
I picked Atoy because she is the only fight of the episode, I think, and she by herself against those two guys, I thought she wouldn't survive, and she managed to do. She used everything around her to get some time and trying to escape, and then scrapped, and then went after. And she was clever because she might not realize who sent them. She could have thought they were really cops. Well, who knows?
Yeah.
You know, she's Chinese. Anyone could want to kill, could like have reasons to kill her, and she realized it was the partner. So she was very clever.
Nice. Frank?
Lee, because he has the only other action moment in this episode, only other real action moment in this episode, and also just what Matt was touching on earlier too. We just see him gradually start to just not give a shit anymore.
Yes.
And when it gets to this point, it's not surprising, right? So that's where I think they did a pretty good job just building up throughout this whole season. And then when Bill goes low with that line about killing his family, he throws a couple of punches at him, and then Bill said, "They're developing some really bad habits, and throwing punches at me is at the top of the list." And then just Lee picks him up and threw him, and I kind of laughed because I thought to myself, well, he didn't punch you anymore.
Yeah.
That was a very good throw. I was very impressed by Lee.
Lee's one of my favorite characters on the show. Definitely. Yeah. And he's one of those sympathetic characters because he's always trying to do the right thing. And I'm always a sucker for someone who's just always trying to do the right thing.
He's standing against the system.
Yeah, against his own people, right? Like his own squad.
That does make him a warrior.
Yeah, exactly. Steph.
I'm co-signing with Rebecca Atoy. I mean, think about it. She went from that scene where, she's having to, defend herself and Davenport, and she could still sniff it out. She said, well, what's his face was already here, Officer Bill was already here. O'Hara was already in there. So she could sniff it out, and you could see her spidey senses raging, as, they're starting to just bully their way in. She makes it through the scene. She collapses in tears. But then we move to a scene where she cut two dudes' heads off, and she makes it all the way over to that house, without them noticing it until he finally hears her. She had chopped those guys' heads off. She is going to make this happen. She is going to get these deeds. She's my warrior. She was the warrior.
Dirty deeds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's
grit.
What you got, buddy?
There's two of them. It was a tie. I couldn't pick between two, so I'm just gonna give it a tie. The all-out warriors actually are Buckley and Atoy. Buckley, it was great to see the origin story of his, quote unquote evilness, and to see like where it comes from, like where his habits kind of came into play with, the redheaded women, and why he is the way that he is. And it's just like, oh, that's, it's perfect. And I think what kind of, sprinkles the icing on the cake as well is when we had that interview, and it really shaded in more of that, like, understanding of what was happening with his character. And it's just like, fuck, man, like that's great. And then Atoy, obviously, for reasons why we've been talking about it this whole time, like she, oh my God, the intelligence of this woman, the raw power of this girl going against dudes like 3 times her size, and then just, you know, figuring out a way to like win, get to her sword, destroy everybody. And then, you know, you see a little bit of more layers to her humanity, where she's telling Davenport, like, fucking go, get out of here. There is nothing good around me. You need to just leave. Pushes her the fuck out. And then she breaks down because it's like, God damn it. Like, that's the only time I felt like I was actually happy here. And then, like, as stated, a few minutes or however long time has passed, walks into this motherfucker's house with 2 severed heads. And it's just like, all right.
Oh my God.
Just so you know.
Oh my God.
Can you fucking sign these papers, please, before
you sign
the third? You know, we can
sign or die.
However you want to go. You know,
I'll kill your children in their beds. I mean,
yeah, the tenacity of Atoy just could not be, you know, understated at all. Like, Olivia killed that shit, literally.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. Well played, sir. Well played. For me, my warrior, it's a bit of a cheat because, like you said, this wasn't the most action-packed, even though there was a lot of action. There was only a couple people that fought in this one. And I'm going with a warrior that we didn't get to see the fight, but we saw the aftermath. And I'm going with my boy Hong. And I'm just going to go with the trio of them here after taking out the Funghai. But mostly Hong for the Violin Man story. You know it's my favorite story. You know I want to see this happen next season. And just seeing this again was great. And now that Frank pointed out the hand hanging there, I mean, it's even that much better. So my Warriors goes out to the trio there, but especially to Hong. Yeah. And I'm going to piggyback on that. Right now because we always say what our favorite line is. And my favorite line was actually when he's trying to explain it to the 2 guys. And young June's like, can you play Mozart on it? Like, no. He's like, then I don't get it. And they're just totally fucking
me
with
neither.
him. Yeah. And then they just deadpan him. And then they bust. I'm like, yeah, I love it because that's aside from all the death around them. To me, that was a bunch of guys in the locker room in between periods. Or
totally.
You know, like, yeah, it's just a bunch of guys just ragging on each other in the locker room, man.
At first, that seems just like, wait, where are they eating?
Right.
Why is there a little bit of blood? What's that? Whoa! What's this?
Is that an axe in that dude's head?
Yeah. It's like, are they out at a restaurant? Are they at the bars? Are they at our toys? Why is there blood on them? Why is there blood?
I want to know where they get the food from. Did somebody bring it to them? Did they just randomly walk away from that fucking murder scene and then come back to the murder scene just to have a feast? I have so many questions about, like, where did the food come from? I want to know.
My thing is, I think that they jumped them while they were all eating.
Oh, damn. So they just eating. Oh, that's savage as fuck. If they're just eating.
Funghai were on like a lunch break and they're like, all right, let's take these fuckers out. Ding, ding, lunchtime, motherfucker. That's a thing. That's a thing people say. All right, what about you guys? I'm going to start at the bottom this time. Steph, what was your favorite line from this episode?
I mean, isn't it obvious?
No, or I wouldn't have asked.
You sign.
Oh, yeah.
With the blood dripping, we've got blood droplets, you sign.
You sign now.
That's it. I mean, that is just badass.
You sign or you die.
Yep.
Chills.
Yes,
Frank?
Exactly. She's all bloody, and she's like, you sign.
Because you
and
know
then
she
the
looks just
sword,
like this.
slam.
She looks just like this, but sitting at the table with
Yep. And then the sword comes up on the table.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and look at it caked in blood,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
then this behind it.
Mhm. Yeah.
I would sign too.
Yeah.
Frank.
Buckley with Chief Flanagan. Buckley says, "Everyone, the city needs to know we're on top of things." Chief Flanagan responds with, "Even if we're not, especially when we're not." It's very telling of his. It's very telling of his outlook, and it's very telling of how he believes the system operates.
Mhm. Very true.
And I think that was a like honestly a really deep line though that like it hit deep because it's true. I mean, it's one of those things that you want to put on that brave face even more so when you don't have control. Like you want to put it out to the city or whatever that hey, no, don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. Everything's good right here, right? You know. So, but I want to give a shout out, and I forget what his name is. What's the chief's name on this?
Chief Flanagan. I don't know.
Flanagan.
Is it Flanagan?
And he passed away.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
Did.
say. Like, shout out to him as
Oh.
well.
R.I.P.
And I'm looking at the cast right here and not seeing it. Oh, David Butler. So
Yeah.
rest in peace, Mr. Butler. Thank you so much for 2 great seasons. Passed away last May. So yeah,
Yeah.
thoughts go out to you and great
Thank
job.
you.
Like big thanks to you and your family.
We're gonna miss you.
Matt Chua.
Oh,
Chua
man.
America. What do you got
We
for
keep,
you?
we keep going back to the fun little diner scene, LOL. And it's when he's like, tell everybody that the Funghai, they work for us. And then my fine line comes right after where Assam's like, I don't think anyone is still breathing. With his leg kicked the fuck up on the couch, and he still has his chopsticks on the bowl. He's like, I don't think anybody's still breathing. Like, how nonchalant can you be? Like, all 3 of them.
And Tobin? And
That
Tobin's
was-
line
is
back
just
to him?
like, that's even better.
Win-win.
Oh, I love those 2. I love all 3 of them.
Me too. Rebecca, what was your favorite line?
Well, I love
Down.
it when
Down.
Bill asked Asan, "Do you remember me?" And he replies, "I don't know. You all look the same to me."
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was perfect.
And then he's like, I honestly almost used the line that came after that as my favorite line, where Bill was like, "So, are you gonna let me know if he's, or would you let me know if you did know who he was?" And that sounds like, probably not. He's like, well, fuck off then. It's just such a throwaway line, but even those 2, they have that love-hate relationship. You could kind of see as well. That's why it's so hard to gauge Bill, like, because Bill's a dick.
Yeah.
Bill makes a lot of bad decisions, and it hurts a lot of other people because of it. But every once in a while, he's got that spark of, he could be a good guy. Maybe he just made some bad decisions, but
Because he pretty much told them, you guys just stay off the streets. This is not the time.
yeah. And he came to save Chow, and he did look like he was honestly, regretful for what happened to Chow's business.
And he did save a song, and he reminds him in that.
Mhm. Yes, he does.
Exactly.
Yep. That he does. Now, did he save Assam? Would he have saved Assam had Lee not been there? Because remember, I think if I remember right,
Yes.
Lee said something first.
Yeah, he's gonna break his neck.
Yeah, and then it was almost like Bill's like, "Oh shit, all right."
I think it was
Very
Penny.
true.
Penny was with him. Please do something, wasn't it?
Penny didn't see them at that point yet.
But I don't think she was with them. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Penny
I'd have
and
to
Bieber,
watch
I
it
think,
again.
were
He didn't know
both
they were
around.
there at that point.
I think.
Mhm.
They didn't know she was there.
Either
Yeah,
way,
he
that
still would have
was
saved him.
Um,
I think so.
I think she after Lee says that she screamed, and he looked and he decided to shoot. Like
yeah, you're right.
I think Bill is someone who needs to be prompted to do the right thing. He's not gonna do the right thing on his own. But if you make him,
Exactly.
if you push him to do
Very
it,
true. Very true.
that's pretty consistent. Yeah. Like
I don't
his
know.
only quality when he was enforcing for the Funghai was that he was trying to take care of his family. So like his family was the only thing trying to keep him doing the right thing. And you know, now that they're out of the picture, at least for now, maybe that's
Only Lucy can save him.
We'll see. We will see.
I feel like Bill would do it, man. I don't know. I'm kind of shooting him some bail here. I feel like he would.
Well, in the
Only
original,
just out of that respect from, you know,
maybe
the prior, I forgot what episode was that, where he let him go. Like, you know, he's like, "Are your men gonna be waiting for me?" No. Would it matter anyway? Like, you know, there were little things where like there was that mutual respect there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not much, but it's there. I think he still probably would have pulled the trigger and stopped that fight.
well, in the original script, Bruce Lee wrote the character Assam for himself, and he included a character named Big Bill, who was Assam's friend. So I'd be curious to see how that impacts Bill O'Hara's character arc. But he's also got the last name of one of Bruce Lee's nemesis in Enter the Dragon. So I don't know. I don't know if that was deliberate or not. It probably was on some level.
O'Hara.
I hope so.
I was thinking of that when I was rewatching this episode. I would like to see more of this relationship that Bruce described. Like sometimes Bill helps Assam, sometimes he doesn't. They didn't had a relationship during the series, only when Assam was arrested, and now this dialogue. But I would like to see them, you know, doing more scenes together.
For sure. I agree. Well, folks, I think that's it. We reviewed the whole episode, just a little bit over an hour, and
We got a
There's
lot
no
coming with the
way.
next one.
there's no way we're getting flagged for anything this fucking week. We better not.
Big shout outs to everybody who was so patient and like rode that wave with us while we were having issues.
Yes, thank you.
You guys
Much
were
appreciated.
fantastic.
Big love.
But now, there won't be any problems tomorrow.
Down,
It'll be
down,
up. It'll be fine. No
Although,
issues. We'll be all right.
We still should have been able to play a couple clips. Yeah, I guess a couple went a little long last time, but come on now.
I understand. I get it. I do understand. Do it.
Everybody, brace yourselves for the next one.
They can't stop me
Oh
from
my
playing this.
God.
Ooh.
They can't stop me from playing this.
Watch this
Yeah.
get flagged now we're gonna get flagged, and I'm gonna have to go through all this shit again just so that way we can. All because you played that one little one.
There's no way for 3 seconds. You were allowed something like 12 seconds or something like that to use. So for fair play use.
It'll be very difficult to control ourselves for next episode for obvious reasons, because this is like
Oh,
You might not see this version of me next week.
Yeah.
oh my goodness.
Fair
I don't
warning.
think
my
we're gonna
goodness.
see anybody's a normal version next week because my God, this
might
is
have
the
to-
one.
Yeah.
This is the one.
We might get flagged next week. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. We might get flagged next week.
Yeah,
There's no way to go
we
through
might-
that whole episode without having some clips. I'm sorry.
Oh,
We might not be up next Wednesday as scheduled because I'll probably have to fight some trademark issues. But other than that, somehow, some way we'll get there. It'll work out. But I do like this episode. Coming everything full circle, I did like this episode because you saw the powder keg get lit here at this episode. Everybody reached their breaking points, and even they fucking snapped at certain things. So there is nothing saving what is going to happen next episode. And damn it, did they do a very, very good job coloring
It's a powder
it for
keg.
us.
So
It's
Oh,
powder
it's a-
keg just ready to go.
picture now the trail of gunpowder moving towards the barrels. That's what it is right now.
That's it. I love it. just like
It's gonna be
an
great.
Acme bomb going off from the Wile E. Coyote. Folks.
Yeah.
I love that came in. It's like, oh wait, yeah, I get that.
Make it cartoonish.
They always have that little plug in the barrel that they just take out. And
He's always holding it.
yeah, it's like, oh no, running.
Oh.
Anyways, that's the clip we'll get screwed for because I'll end up playing that later. The Bugs Bunny shit, folks. I hope you had a fantastic time with this episode, like we did. This was a great episode that was just content heavy, which I really love. Big shout outs, and I wanted to do this earlier. Directed by Omar Madah. Writing credits on this one goes to JT, Kenneth Lynn, Evan Endicott, Josh Stoddard, and of course, the master himself, Bruce Lee. Folks, would you like to go out on anything? Anything to go out on, anyone?
No, except where to find us all. We can't ever
right
close
here.
out the show without knowing where to find us. I know we're here, but when we're not here,
We're there.
of course, we're there. And you know where there is? I'm going to tell you exactly where there is, everybody. Any viewership or listenership, I'm going to tell you exactly where there is when we're not here. Well, yeah. And there is our YouTube channel. All right. Yeah, our official YouTube channel. You have to just search for the time being, The Hop This Way Show will pop up. Please don't forget to subscribe, enable notifications. And the more subscribers we get, the more we can find and actually get closer to changing our URL to the Hop This Way Show and not have random ass numbers and letters. So there's that. Of course, you can find us on our social media platforms where we're probably the most, active on Instagram and Facebook at the Hop This Way Show.
Hop this way.
Hop this way.
You all know the deal. If by some chance you can't see us or watch us, you can multitask and listen to us on our podcast form of the show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, whichever you want or whichever you get your podcast stuff from. And there you go. There's no excuse, no matter what, to either watch us or listen to us. And that's it.
Ça c'est tout, as we say here in Canada. Je suis, nous est fini. We are finished. And,
Magnifique.
and how would you say that in Brazil?
Acabou.
And how would you say that in Chinese, Mandarin, Cantonese? I'm not sure which one.
What was it saying again?
We're finished.
Finish? Oh. Wow.
That's it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go.
I'm not Hawaiian, but I can say it. Wao pao. All
Wow,
pao.
Okay.
Aloha.
I'll say it in true American. Let's get some sticky!
From all of us to all of you, we hope you all have a great week, and we will see you next week for the big one. Make sure you're here. Peace out and get some sticky.